It is election night in America, and tonight those results are continuing to come in. Thank you for staying up with us for First Coast News at 11. I'm Anthony Austin.
And I'm Heather Crawford. Tonight, all eyes are on the race to the White House. So here is a look at the current results for the presidential race you see right here up on your screen.
And from the White House to the First Coast, we're on your side covering every angle on this election night. We have live team coverage for you with crews positioned across the First Coast to bring you reaction to the results, plus our team of experts here in the studio with us analyzing the results as they come in. And we begin our team coverage tonight at 11 with a look at the watch parties for the presidential nominees. This is a live look from the Republican watch party in downtown Jacksonville. Our Rich Donnelly is there, and we will check in with him in just a moment. But first, people are still watching the results come in at the Duval County Democratic Watch Party, and that's where we find our Riley Phillips. And Riley, how is the current atmosphere where you are?
Well, Anthony, things are really winding down here. Most of the crowd has left for the night, but despite some of the losses that we've seen here for the Democratic Party in Florida so far tonight, they remained hopeful. People here remained hopeful throughout the night. It was still a celebration throughout the night here. Members of the Democratic Party here in Duval County, members of the Harris Walls campaign, representatives of the Harris Wall campaign addressed the crowd earlier tonight. They thanked the supporters, they thanked the volunteers who helped throughout this entire election season, and they also just asked people to keep the faith and remain hopeful throughout the night. They acknowledge this is going to be a long night as we continue to get more results coming in. I did get a chance to speak with the chair of the Duval County Democratic Party earlier in the night to get his reaction to Amendment 3 and Amendment 4 failing, and he was critical of the way Governor Ron DeSantis campaigned against those amendments.
Both of these amendments got well over 50%. I don't think this is the last time we'll see either one of them on the ballot, but it's on us as citizens and as voters to have accountability to our state officials, and using taxpayer dollars for politics, I think is something that no one wants regardless of party affiliation.
As I said, things are winding down here. Most of the people have left, but it was a party, it was a celebration throughout the night. There was a lot of dancing, a lot of cheering going on, but people have left to go home and wait for the results from home. Live on the South Side, Riley Phillips, First Coast News, on your side.
Riley, thank you. Now to the GOP side, to the watch party in Jacksonville for former President Donald Trump. Our Rich Donnelly's on your side live tonight in downtown Jacksonville. So how's it going there tonight, Rich?
Well, we could say that with every Republican win, the crowd goes wild here. The chairman of the Duval GOP party, Dean Black, will go up on the stage and he will announce it like it's a football score, in a sense. So wild applause for all the Republican winners tonight. Many of them in the state of Florida. Florida's gone decidedly red in this election. One of the people who won is former Sheriff John Rutherford. He's been in Congress for a few years at this point now. And he stopped by and spoke with us about what it means to him to be re-elected to Congress and also represent everyone in this district, not just the Republicans who voted for him, but all the people of the district that he represents up in Washington, D.C. to try and bring things back to Northeast Florida. Here's what he said shortly after it was announced that he was the winner tonight.
We have some great things to do in Washington, D.C. And if it goes the way I would plan it, we'll have Congress and we'll have the White House. And with that, we can really get some good things accomplished, like we did in the first term with President Trump in office. We also had the House and the Senate. And if you remember, that's how we got the Tax Cut Jobs Act passed.
Where Biden was there.
So that was John Rutherford, won his election tonight. He was very happy to have done that. He came to greet all the people who voted for him here at the Duval Watch Party. A number of things on the ballot that are not about elected officials. Those are the amendments. There was a hot button topic. We spoke with a number of elected officials about that, including Sheriff T.K. Waters. We'll hear from him about that tonight at 11:30. We're now reporting live at the Duval GOP Watch Party in downtown Jacksonville. Rich Donnelly, First Coast News, on your side.
Well, thank you, Rich. Hello, everybody. I am Jeannie Blaylock here, and I'm with our political experts, and we are glad that you're here tonight. Dr. John Frieder, who is with UNF. He teaches political science. John Daigle with Daigle Creative. You have been an analyst here for many, many, many decades, or at least several. I don't want to make it too old, right? So we want to tell all you folks in Georgia, you know that you are in a key swing state, and our analysts think that it might be that out of all 7 swing states, Georgia gets called first. What makes us say that?
So Georgia and North Carolina are both counting quickly. They're the first states to have opened of the swing states. They're probably going to be the first states to be called right now. There's about a 3-point lead for Trump in each of those states, and there's blue areas to be counted in each of those states. That means that lead is going to be winnowed, but probably not by enough. Trump's probably going to be able to hold on there.
And kind of a slogan inside the Harris campaign, lose for less.
Yeah, lose by less in the rural areas. So in terms of if Harris's campaign ends up losing in the state of Georgia, which seems likely right now, they're going to start soul searching for answers of what they could have done differently in their campaign. And it might have been, instead of focusing on persuasion efforts, going out into rural areas and trying to lose by less, lose by maybe 30 points instead of 40 points. Instead, maybe they'd rather focus on the turnout game. And that's really where the Trump campaign has been, and that's where the Trump campaign's been for 8 years.
Still an if Trump is going to win Georgia, and what that could mean for the whole perspective. And John, we're talking about the blue wall states. We don't know how they're going to go.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that's the interesting dynamic here. Is Trump tonight, as it was pointed out, he could take North Carolina, he could take Georgia, he could even take Sun Belt swing states like Nevada and Arizona, and it could still be up for grabs. It will still come down to if Harris takes the blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, she still wins it all.
So let me just tell you as well, the amendments, the big 2 that failed tonight, abortion and marijuana. You guys used the word shocked. You were shocked that they went down. What happened?
I mean, the marijuana amendment, total shock that went down. That abortion actually even outperformed the marijuana amendment. That was a surprise. Abortion I could have seen is more likely. It was right on the edge in polling. But marijuana went down, and it's hard to place exactly what happened there. We could talk about the money difference, but even though you've outspent 2-1, you still lose. That's surprising for the Yes campaign there. But it's an easy issue. Money might not influence people much. Ads might not influence people much. So it might come down to the ground game, and we can see that across the state in Florida.
And this could have an impact on Governor DeSantis and the Republicans and the Democrats, right?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, DeSantis was very heavily invested in both of these issues, and he ended up on the winning side. But at the same time, even though he ended up on the winning side of these ballot initiatives, he ended up on the opposite side of over half the voters who voted. So he obviously isn't going to run for re-election as governor. He can't, but he certainly has ambitions beyond his 2 terms as governor. And whether him working against these amendments will cost him in the future, I guess, is yet to be decided.
Short-term victory, perhaps long-term impact. We'll have to see. Lots still to debate. And, of course, the biggest question of all, who's going to win the White House? Still a question. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We appreciate that. Heather and Anthony?
Jeannie, thank you so much. Now to Duval County, where we want to check in on the elections here.
Our Zach Wilcox is joining us live tonight from the Duval Supervisor of Elections office with more. Zach.
Yeah, Anthony, we spent the majority of the night out in the warehouse where 20 truckloads of ballots, you heard that number right, 20 truckloads pulled in, dropped the ballots off, and it was a bit like Santa's workshop, but instead of toys, it was ballots, thousands that were getting processed through. So now we've moved the activity inside as the last truckload has arrived, and I'm joined by Supervisor of Elections Jerry Holland. Jerry, let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing going on here, a little bit of a different energy now.
It's a different energy, but it shows we still have a lot to do, and we won't go home until it's finished. We're remaking the military ballots that we got in today, officially go through the machine. We're canvassing vote-by-mail ballots where the signatures were questionable, and we're running one precinct that we needed to rerun the ballot. So we still got to do a lot of this so we can get that unofficial results out there for the public.
Gotcha, and you can hear that going on behind us here. Simone, can you go ahead and show that? Yeah, you can see them running it through there. That's a fun-looking machine. Let's talk about where we're going to be at tonight and what you guys still have to do tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we will start the provisional ballots and going through those. But tonight, again, like you see running here, these are ballots that from one of the precincts we need to rerun. So we're getting that count again, accurately done, and then reporting those. And then we'll start counting all these vote-by-mail ballots that came in today. Over 4,000 ballots came into our office this afternoon, and we need to count those before we go home.
Gotcha. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Jerry. Appreciate you taking the time for us. So Still a busy night here, and a lot of folks still working hard to make sure these ballots are counted and everything is accounted for, and they can recreate this election should they need to be able to refer back to it. But we'll wrap it up here at the Supervisor of Elections office. Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, on your side.
A late night for them there. Zach, thank you so much. And tonight we're taking a look at the 6 amendments in Florida, and we're speaking with our legal expert on what this could mean for you. Before we take a short break, you can see some of the results for Florida's State House and Senate. We'll be right back after these results. Well, in Florida, 6 amendments were on the ballot, and we want to take a look now at Amendment 3. The push for recreational marijuana failed in Florida. So here's a look at the results at this hour. You can see the amendment did not reach that 60% threshold of the vote needed in order for it to pass. And I spoke with a law professor at Jacksonville University, Nathan Richardson, tonight about what could be next. And he says that the first time that medical marijuana hit the Florida ballot, it also failed. However, the second time around, medical marijuana passed.
Florida already has medical marijuana legal. If you're an adult and you have a certain number of certain medical conditions, you can use marijuana. That remains true in Florida. Took two times for that amendment to pass for medical marijuana in Florida. Will we see another attempt in the next election cycle for recreational marijuana? Possibly. It's hard to say, but it certainly has failed here tonight. However, a majority of Florida voters voted for it in the high 50s. It wasn't that far away from the 60% threshold.
Now, also ask him about Amendment 4. That's the one regarding abortion in Florida. What he says could be next in the state. That's coming up in our special coverage tonight on First Coast News Plus.
And we want to go to St. Johns County now, where the voter turnout was incredibly high. Jessica Clark is joining us in the studio today. And Jessica, I know you went around to some of those polling locations, and you're kind of taking a look at the numbers tonight.
Right, okay, so yes, busy day, but a busy election overall for St. Johns County. Indeed, I did check out places throughout the county today at different polling spots. There was a steady stream of voters going to polling places today, sometimes with lines, but not that much. Now, when the day started, already 66% of registered voters had cast ballots in early voting or by mail-in ballots. 66%. And you know what? In the 2020 general election, overall, there was an 85% voter turnout in St. Johns County. That was the 3rd highest in the state. And you know what? This election exceeded that. Voter turnout was 86.5% with 199,000 voters casting ballots.
I'm not surprised. I've expected good turnout. We've seen, especially during early voting, very robust turnout. It broke our record in 2020 turnout and 93,000 voters, and we had almost 119,000 in early voting.
And we had 2 items that we really were watching on the St. Johns County ballot with this general election, dealing with tax increases to raise money for education. One question asked voters if they want to continue a half-cent sales tax, and it would go toward building new schools, maintenance, and technology. And you can see 60% of voters said yes, and that is with all but one precinct being counted. The second question on the ballot would increase property taxes by increasing the millage rate by 1 mil. And that money would go mostly towards staff and teacher salaries, boosting what they get. And you can see 68% of voters supported that, again, with 52 out of 53 precincts reporting. Lots of voters in St. Johns County coming out to speak their voice.